Hi everybody, I am Loren. My company's Intentional Acting, and I'm hired by working actors who are getting passed over and they don't know why, and what they want is to book more work now and build a reputation of being an in-demand actor. Because I want you to have those goals, becoming an in-demand actor. And one of the keys that I want to teach today, I have 8 keys of intentional script analysis, and I'm going to teach you key number 7, which is page number. Because there's a lot of debate in this city about from different acting coaches about whether page number is important or not. Well, I'm here to argue for that page number is vitally important for an actor to know. And so it starts with, because if you know, like if you get a 1-page side, right, and it says at the top that it's page 50, that actually is going to give you a lot of information. And if you don't pay attention to that, then you could be putting yourself at a disadvantage. And really, the competition is so steep that what acting is really about, it's not being good or great, it's being undeniable. And then it's about stacking the cards in your favor. So if you don't book the job, you at least book that room, right? So page number tells you where this scene takes place in the entire script based on story structure. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about story structure, and let me just give you this kind of template to go from, which is, first of all, films have about 110, it's ideally 110 pages, sometimes they go up to 120. Soap operas, about 80 pages, sitcoms are 30 to 40 pages, episodic dramas are about 50 to 63 pages, and single camera comedies are 22 to 32 pages. That's pretty industry standard. I have to say this industry standard seems to be always kind of shifting and changing because of the streaming platforms and what they can do, but it's a good place to start, and it will help you in a lot of cases as just sort of a base, okay? So like I said, page number tells you where this scene that you've gotten for your audition takes place in the entire script based on story structure. And yes, actors do need to know story structure. It's not just for writers. You just think about it. You're auditioning, generally you're auditioning for producers. In television, those producers are writers. In film, often the writer is also the director, okay? So they know, they're telling you what they're looking for, and they're giving you these clues. The story structure will give you the clues. So if you know where to look, then it can help you a lot, okay? So here is basic structure, story structure. It's kind of story structure 101, and it's for a movie. This also can be very true for TV, and sometimes these guidelines are based over, like if it's a 6-episode miniseries, or what do they call that, a short format, that you can also go over that same course, okay? So this is really basic. Starts with an inciting. Your story is always going to start with an inciting incident, which creates a call to action for the hero or heroine of the movie, okay? But the hero feels incompetent to go on this journey and to fight for this goal, and doesn't really want to do it. They kind of reject it. Then they meet someone along the way that encourages them, and that's usually about page 25. And they go after that goal, but they aren't fully committed or sure that they actually want it. Then when they commit fully to it, they're usually halfway. This is called the midpoint mark of the show or the movie, which is about page somewhere around 60, 65. And that's when the shit hits the fan. As soon as they commit, then everything starts to come down on them, right? All the problems start to happen, and they have to fight and overcome all these obstacles, okay? Bad things happens, and they give up on the goal or the romantic partner, and it seems that all is lost moment. That all is lost moment is about page 75 to 85. That's when that romantic partner, they're sure it's absolutely over, and you as the audience are sure it's absolutely over. Or that the hero is trying to fight for a goal, and there's no way. It's just impossible. It's not going to happen, and you see them give up on it. And then something happens that they find the courage, and then they go after the goal, and they win. So I'm going to give you an example of Star Wars, okay? It's kind of a bastardized version. So Star Wars fans, please do not take offense. Do not write comments about, well, that's not, It's not about Star Wars. I'm just trying to give you a base or something for story structure, okay? So think Star Wars hero, Luke Skywalker, wants to go and fight in the rebellion, but his aunt and uncle discourage it. Then they get blown up by the Imperials, the aunt and uncle, which is the inciting incident. Oh, by the way, there might be some spoiler alerts if you haven't seen episode 4, okay? Luke wants to go fight, but he doesn't think he's able to. And then he meets Obi-Wan Ben Kenobi. And he finds Luke and he tells him that, ooh, you have the Force. The Force is strong with this one. And that he is competent. But Luke doesn't believe he's competent and he resists. This is page 25 where Obi-Wan Ben Kenobi meets, about there, okay? Obi-Wan then insists and brings him along and introduces him to Han Solo. Now Luke is on this journey, but he's not quite fully committed yet until they reach the Millennium Falcon is now pulled on board of the Death Star, which is about the midpoint. And he meets Princess Leia. Oh, now I'm committed. Love story intact, right? So Luke is all into the sport, fighting for the rebellion, and then the hits the fan. Literally, the garbage dump scene is an example. That's one example where things start going bad, and then something else goes bad, and something else goes bad, until, and it keeps going until Obi-Wan Ben Kenobi dies. Spoiler alert, sorry if I ruined it for you, which is usually about page 85-ish. This is the all is lost moment, or the moment of all is lost moment, the moment when the hero has to stand up to the moment or fail. And so Luke decides to be a Jedi. He stands up, he uses the Force, and he goes and he blows up the Death Star, and they all live happily ever after. Well, kind of, not really. But yes, please, Star Wars, I beg your forgiveness, Star Wars fans. I beg your forgiveness. But it's just, it goes back to the basic hero story. You can look at Joseph Campbell and the power of myth. Okay? And this is the basic story that movies based on, okay? The page number on your sides can tell you where you are in the story, and with your own instincts and your experience from watching TV and movies, you can start to use the structure to guess what the story of the entire script is about. Yes, it absolutely works. I use this method, and 95% of the time, I'm right when I guess what the story is about. Because Hollywood is predictable. They don't take a lot of risks. So I'm just going to say this one more time. The page number on your sides can tell you where you are in the story, i.e. page 50, 85. Even if you're at 75, you're getting near there, or you're close to it, okay? And so use that page number as a guide and match it with your own instincts and your experience of watching lots of TV and movies and how you understand story. And then you can start to piece together and use that structure to guess what the entire story is about, okay? Now, how did I learn this? Well, I've done some writing, and there's this great book called Save the Cat, or Save the Cat Goes to the Movies. And yes, it's for writers, but it's by Blake Snyder. And yes, it's for writers, but I think it's for actors too, because because you're a storyteller. You have to tell a story. And so you've got to understand story structure to tell a story. When they say they want you as an actor to create an arc for the character, that's story structure. You have to understand what that arc is. Okay? So that book, Save the Cat, or Save the Cat Goes to the Movies, gives you really great examples of movies and how that structure works. That's going to explain and give you examples of story structure, okay? Again, yes, actors, you do need to know this. Yes, actors, page numbers matters. Because I even just had a student last week. If you get multiple scenes, look at the page numbers, okay? This is your audition as multiple scenes. Look at the page numbers and you'll see the character arc. It'll start, especially if it's like a guest star, or if it's in a movie, it might be page 20, 25, or 10, the beginning, and then 75, when all is lost. All is lost tells you you've got to raise the stakes, right? The stakes are high. Or maybe if you're doing an episodic and you'll see they'll split through the show. A guest star particularly, they're going to pick scenes in the middle, the beginning, the middle, and the end. And then that means they want to see how you create that character arc in your audition tape. You've got to show that. Last week I had a student and he had a 12-page audition. It was for a big Disney movie, and the sides were, it said literally it said on the bottom page, like page 1 of 12, right? And so you could follow that. But then if you look at the page numbers from the script, they're not in order. And so what happened is they kind of wanted this character story was going to be better told if it was for a self-tape, if it was out of order than if it was in order. So they took it out of order, and they told the client, as you're making this self-tape, I want you to think about the story that your character is telling with these sides based in the order that casting gave you, okay? Not in the order that it goes into the screenplay, okay? And that will give them what they're looking for. And that's your job as an actor, is to give casting what they're looking for, so that if you don't book the job, you can book the room. But we're going to book the job because you are going to be undeniable when you use these tools of intentional acting. So please comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this, how this helps you, any questions that you have. If you ever want to meet with me and find out if intentional acting classes are for you, you can go to my discoverintentionalacting.com. But please leave a comment below.